now the man himself, our nation's 79th Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary Scott Bessent. Secretary, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Maria, good to be with you.
And that Senate hearing really went into wild commentary there. Did any of the Democrats ask you about economic growth, sir?
Maria, they can't compete on economic growth because the president's plan is working. The Trump economy is delivering for the American people, that we have strong growth, and inflation is in fact coming down. For the past 3 months, inflation is 2.1%, close to the Federal Reserve's target, and a measure called trueflation, which is daily observations, now is below 1%. So inflation down, strong growth, stocks at a record high, and the lowest crime rate in over 100 years. Democrats don't want to talk about that. They want to hoot and holler.
So what kind of growth are you expecting for 2026? We're looking at Friday's market rally. The Dow was up 1,200 points, 2.5%. The NASDAQ was up 1%. Even gold was up. And when you look at year to date, actually gold has outperformed stocks. Gold up 14% year to date, the S&P 500 up 1%. Tell us your expectations for growth, and also a word on gold. What's driving that move as well?
Well, Maria, what I can tell you is what we are seeing, the cyclical components of the market expand. So that's why the Dow hit a new high, but importantly, the Russell, which is the small cap index, has hit a new high. We're seeing the industrial sectors under the market hit new highs. And in my 35, 40 years on Wall Street, that tells me Wall Street is telling you that Main Street is about to prosper. We are seeing a big cyclical recovery. The president's agenda set the table in 2025, and now the American people are going to benefit in 26. And that's what the stock market is telling us. The stock market lives in the future, and I think we're going to have very strong economic growth and very strong job gains and very strong real income growth.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the move in gold, normally people buy gold and hard assets because they're not sure, they're sort of hedging their bets. But there's also a big move in rare earth and critical minerals as the president comes up with this stockpile to compete against China. Is that part of it? What do you think's behind the gold move?
Well, the gold move, things have gotten a little unruly in China. They're having to tighten margin requirements. So the gold looks to me kind of like a classical speculative blow-off. But what I will tell you, we had at the State Department, there was a rare earth ministerial, countries all around the world. This is what U.S. leadership looks like. The U.S. is leading in solving this rare earth problem. Countries are not sovereign. You are not sovereign if one country can control your supply chains, and we are making our supply chains resilient.
Yeah, for sure. There are worries, however, Secretary, and of course it's about AI. We've already seen companies cut jobs because of AI efficiencies. What is the plan from your standpoint at Treasury, at the White House, to replace the jobs that will no doubt go away because of AI efficiencies?
Well, Maria, it's not a given that they have to go away because of AI efficiencies. In the history of technological change, you see new jobs created. I had a major credit card company in a few weeks ago, and they just said it was the distribution of jobs within the company that's going to change. They said that their billing and customer service, AI is going to take over, but they're going to move all those employees over into their travel sector.
Okay. Well, we're also waiting on some big decisions. I mean, we've got to see the Kevin Warsh confirmation happen. We've got to hear from the Supreme Court on whether or not President Trump can use tariffs in an emergency. What are your expectations? When will we hear from the Supreme Court? And I know that you've told me before you think that you are going to win on this, but what's the plan if you don't, if the Supreme Court rules against the president?
Well, it would be a gigantic loss for the American people. President Trump has used his IEEPA authority consistently throughout the year to negotiate better deals for the American people. And it's an emergency authority. And what was an emergency if it wasn't the fentanyl crisis? And we are seeing Canada, Mexico, China come to the table to stop this scourge of the American people. On October 8th, when China threatened to institute a rare earth export control all around the world, not just us, but all the industrial nations, President Trump threatened a 100% tariff, and China came to the negotiating table and delayed delayed the export controls, which would have crushed the global economy. So President Trump has used it for the American people, and it would be a big loss to take that away from him.
Yeah, I always scratch my head in terms of how it is that we deal with our number one adversary, China. In a business like fashion, when, you know, over here we're finding a biolab in California, over there we're arresting people for bringing in pathogens, COVID, cover up, you know, intellectual property theft, the whole 9 yards. Secretary, you told me.
Maria, I would add too, the president has used IEPA to bring in trillions of dollars of investment into the U.S. Companies are now 2025, they worked on the plans to build their factories. Many have already broken ground. I think we're going to see record factory groundbreakings in 2026. The president and I were out in Iowa a few weeks ago, and John May, the president of John Deere, said that John Deere is building 2 new factories, one in Indiana, one in North Carolina, and the president said, why are you doing that? And he said, sir, 100% your tariff policy.
Yeah, no, I know that the president has done really an incredible job in terms of recognizing we cannot be reliant on China, our number one adversary. Do you have any estimate for us as far as when we are going to see that China trade deal in writing?
No, but I can tell you that the Chinese have lived up to their end of the bargain. They've completed their soybean purchases, and I was on the call with President Trump, Party Chair Xi. And again, very, very important, the relationship between the two leaders. And it's my belief that President Trump is the only world leader who Xi respects. And that relationship between the two of them allows for the relationship to be, respectful, but we're going to be great competitors with them. We don't want to disengage, but we do need to de-risk.
What about Kevin Warsh? Tom Tillis has been pushing back. He says he's not going to confirm anybody for the president until the probe into Jay Powell is over. What are your expectations that Kevin Warsh is confirmed, and when do you expect that?
Well, I would point out that when